and we visited Samson Abramsky, Bob Cook, Luke Ong, and Sam Staton at Oxford. And then we went down and met with the Imperial team, including Sophia Drosopoulos, Michael Huth, Philippa Gardner, and spoke with Marcella Fio via Zoom because we just couldn't make it over to Cambridge in time. But when I was chatting with them, especially the Oxford group, about was axiomatizing consensus. Go ahead. Who was that?
Sorry, you were just breaking up. You're back though. Sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. No, just saying that I was talking a lot with the Oxford in consensus, and this has them interested. And
Yay.
Yeah. And this whole idea of using the addition has them interested was, and he seemed to feel like he pointed us at a calculus called the ZW calculus that was a refinement of the ZX calculus that he and another researcher had developed a few years back. That seems to be quite promising in terms of expressing quantum consensus.
Oh, there he goes.
Yeah, see, can you hear him, or is my internet bad, or is?
Yeah, he just disconnected completely. There he
okay.
He's back now.
Yay.
So we lost
I don't know what you.
Z calculus.
Yeah.
ZW calculus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the ZW calculus is a kind of a refinement of the ZX calculus that Bob and another researcher developed. He seems to feel that he could do a quantum version of consensus using the ZW calculus. So I started looking into that. But Bob is also working with another group that is in Cambridge that's building a physical quantum device on which he feels he could render this algorithm. So he thinks he can actually just make it work. So that's kind of one of the most intriguing updates. I think consensus might be a little more challenging, but Bob's a really smart guy, so who knows? Maybe he can actually make it work. But the nice thing is, just from our point of view, is to get some additional people kind of hacking away at this approach to using the trace-monoidal idea. And actually, Samson, gave me a really, I felt a lot more confident after talking with Samson about it, because we talked through the idea of using the partial trace and the need for the partial trace because of FLP impossibility. And he was sort of pointing me at papers I'm already reading. So I felt, a little bit more validated. Who knows if it all works, but that's kind of, when you get people like that saying, yeah, there might be something to that. It's I guess. Talking about when we did a lot of last week, Mike, because we were traveling together, we did some work to resolve some issues with the gas thing and Rolang, and the validator, the assignment of groups of validators to name groups, so that I think there's, at least between Mike and I, there's agreement on the date. I can around for a little bit longer. We're almost Peter's place for updates on whoever wants to go next.
Cool. Caught most of that. The internet was a bit shoddy, but cool stuff with the academics. Sounds it's quite exciting. Vlad, hello.
Hey Nate, do you hear me okay?
Yeah, dude.
I can hear you now. No.
Not amazing. No, you guys are breaking up, but I'm not sure if it's you or me. Probably me or.
Yeah, you're. It sounds a bit shoddy, but does anyone else have any major updates they wanna go for? Michael or Kent or Vlad, maybe.
Some updates. I gave this talk at EC about like Casper and sharding. I'm not sure if you saw it. Where I gave like the development of the proofs more rigor than I have had a presentation before. And like thinking about it has caused me to do some more work in that kind of area. Made, I guess, a little bit of progress in my ability to explain why we only need to pay attention to it. Which basically kind of goes like this. These protocol states are only sets of messages and only sets of valid messages. The only thing that we could really have valid messages arriving in different orders and equivocation. So I can kind of argue just in terms of cause protocol state transitions, receiving messages that don't exhibit points and order equivocations. Why we don't look at invalid messages, and also like how it's asynchronously safe, because like we really allow any superset as a state transition. As long as it's not exhibiting more than the threshold. So that's I guess like the research progress that like sticks out to me right now. But overall, like over this last week, I've been, I worked hard on the presentation, and then I worked hard on the governance thing. I made much progress there, and I've just been ECC. So I didn't do too much work, but I definitely had a lot of time to talk to people about Casper.
Cool stuff. Yeah, the second part of the safety proof, like with the equivocation stuff, was at least for me the most clear I've ever seen it. I understood it for the first time, which was cool. So definitely helpful. I can go on an update if there's no one else. All right, I'll go for it. So spent a bit of time last week helping Vlad with slides and stuff for the presentation. And then other than that, have been working on kind of fairly massive refactor of like just the code base, because it kind of evolved very organically and is like a bit messier and harder to maintain than maybe it should be. And so Danny and I have been talking about this redesign for a while, and I've actually kind of started spiking it out. So there'll be an issue posted today with like hopefully a fullish spec of what that actually looks like and means. And in the next 2 weeks or so, looking to finish that up. The goal essentially being like maximize for understandability and like portability, in that we can move it to other, we can kind of move like protocol executions from like one visualization software to another easier. That's kind of the goal. So yeah, that's it for me. Any other updates?
I've been contemplating the axiomatic quantum mechanics that Greg brought up last week, and brought me back to the 70s when everybody read the same journals. They knew everything there was to know about computer science, and everybody knew Tony Hoare as the father of concurrent computing before Milner. And the idea of the laws of programming, Tony's laws of programming with concurrency and axiomatic programming. And it's sort of mind-blowing. Basically, I captured a few of the slides from his talk at Microsoft Research. He basically shows how regular expressions algebraic law leads to Milner's transition or Hoare's triple, which are simply reversing the order of the arguments. So he has a lot of modularity laws here in composition and proof composition. And rules for making proofs. I guess the cool thing here that he's done is he separated the layers. Where the hell is it? I don't even have it here. Unfortunately. Okay, I don't have it, but the basic Hoare triple, where one side is a specification, but it's a finite state machine basically that specifies an execution which is the implementation of that specification, and I guess constrains the computation, the computation to be according to a model which is proven. And I guess by going back to algebraic specification, we've in essence collapsed the wave function of the execution. But I thought this was relevant for Ladle to go to take this algebraic notion of that of Hoare's laws of programming with concurrency. Seemed to be a natural fit.
Yeah, Jim, you can actually you can definitely do a Hoare style approach. It's not the approach that we're driving towards, because pre and post conditions end up being just there's a way in which you can look at the Hoare triple as in alignment with Curry Howard. So but building that category turns out to be a little trickier than at first appears, and we don't need it currently for the stuff that we're doing. But sure, if you really want to go down that path, the Samson's interaction categories are a really nice formulation. So you can view the way he builds up the morphisms, the types for the morphisms. The typed morphisms in an interaction category correspond to Hoare triples. So you've got the source of the morphism is really a spec. The target of the morphism is really a spec, and then the morphism is your program. So there's your Hoare triple. So yeah, it's an interesting approach, and it would be very natural to kind of build up such a thing for a variety of concurrent languages. It turns out to be a lot harder than it seems in the presence of mobility. So I think there were some people who were reviving this about 5 or 6 years ago, but I haven't seen anything come out of it. You know,
Yeah.
basically it works for CCS style stuff where you don't have the communication topology changing all the time. But it's much harder to make it work in a mobile setting. So that's,
it's not a question how hard it's work, it's how accurate it's specified. It makes the specification, because it's not the implementation. It's the specification.
Yeah, I'm just saying, in order to make the whole specification logic hang together in the presence of mobility is much, much harder. Like to make the whole system all fit together is much harder.
I guess putting it together would be ideal. I think it was pretty enlightening. I shared the link to Tony's presentation. I still think his 1976 A communication language is interesting because it's not Turing complete, and it's so simple, which is, I guess, it's not that different from Erlang in the sense.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for indulging me, and it's good to get your perspective. But I think that's a good video for anyone who might be interested in seeing the history of the laws of programming.
We're about to get dropped off. I was wondering if I could hear from Michael Birch and Kent. Do you guys have any updates?
Hey, this is Kent. So I've been on the compiler side for the past 2 weeks, so nothing much on the Casper end. I'll pass it to you, Michael Birch.
Sure. I did spend a little bit of time last week thinking about sharding and gas payments and stuff, sort of along the same lines as we had meetings with the other Archain devs about 2 weeks ago now, I guess. But I don't know if I can summarize in a brief enough time, Greg, for how much time you have. Because you said you're dropping off in a few minutes here.
Yeah, we just got out of the Uber.
Yeah. Okay.
But okay. Well, I'll catch up with you maybe at the dev stand-up in a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think that might be a more suitable platform for it anyways, because it is very Archain specific.
The second floor. Cool. Understood. Yeah, I don't think. I think we're still working at a level. A lot of what's going on with Archain is going to be relevant to Casper, but yeah. Well, I'll hear a more detailed update in a little bit. I'm going to jump off because we're at our destination, but looks like we're making progress.
All right, guys. See you next week, I guess.
Vlad, I need to contact you regarding the governance. They want to get feedback on